If you've been following me for quite a while, you know that I am unapologetically unafraid of pivoting in life, no matter what the pivot entails. Over the years, I've really learned to embrace that life is just not linear. There will always be a time where I have to create space for something new by letting go of what no longer serves me. But if I can be fully transparent right now, I've not always been this way. I once used to fight with everything in me when feelings would arise, telling me that it was time to make a move, time to transition to something new, and maybe leave something behind. I didn't know what it all meant for me, which was the problem. Did a change in direction mean sacrificing parts of myself? Did the call to answer the pivot mean I'd failed at what currently existed? Would moving on to something new guarantee me success or happiness? There was just no way to tell. But there were always these looming questions associated with any pivot in my life, personally or professionally. The truth is, I would never know the answer to those questions or exactly what awaited me if I didn't trust my gut to discover what was on the other side of those feelings. Pivoting in life and career can be scary. It can be one of the most daunting feelings. When you reach a point of needing to make a change, it can be difficult to know if you're on the right path, let alone, even making the right decision. I want to take some time to explore how to better understand and trust your instincts when it comes to making changes in your personal and professional life. I think it'll also be good for me to unpack the importance of taking the time to evaluate all the options you are presented with when pivoting in life, as well as how to make decisions that align with your core values, your goals, and your beliefs. Yes, those are those magic words again. Let's get into it. Welcome to Living Divinely, the Divine Oasis podcast. I'm your host, Amber Janae, founder and editor-in-chief of Divine Oasis. Bi-weekly, I use this platform to dissect what it means to live a well-lived life by exploring ways that we can create space for ourselves through intentionality, truth, love, and authenticity. I will start by saying pivoting for me has always been a very instinctual feeling. It's always been one of those, like, if you know, type feelings. While I've never doubted the feelings as they've come, I have a lot of times doubted my ability to rely on my own instincts and my power of execution. Before I really dive in here, there are a few important things that I want you to keep in mind when thinking about change. First, always ensure that you are hyper aware when instinctual indicators of a pivot and how they show up in your life. I'll come back to this as I navigate through the episode. Think about that. Another thing to note is it won't always be beautiful or this big aha moment. A pivot can and may get messy, but that is okay. Also, ask yourself, how do you pivot successfully without losing yourself? Or is it important to lose parts of yourself during the process of a pivot? Lastly, Understanding that there is so much power that lies within a change in direction, and it is critical to the journey. I think the problem for a lot of people who may be listening or who will listen is you know exactly what you need to do, but you choose not to do it. There are so many reasons rooted in why you choose not to take the leap, but are any of those reasons good enough to choose not to make moves that you know deep down inside that you absolutely need to make? Truth is, you don't need me. You don't need another book, another article, another course, another podcast. You don't need anything to confirm what it is that you already know. The confirmations and the affirmations, they've been there, and they've been there for a while. It's just that now the ball is officially in your court and you have to make a move. When it came to change, the lack of forward movement for me personally had a lot to do with being comfortable where I was in the present moment. In life, it's just natural for us to become accustomed to the routine and the stability that our current situations provide. In a lot of ways, this makes the idea of switching paths like this fearful, anxiety ridden prospect. We worry about the unknown, all, potential failures, the possibility of negative impacts, any negative impacts that it could have on your personal and professional lives. Like, we worry about so much. However, even within that worry, it is incredibly important to remember that pivoting can also bring growth. It can bring opportunities and change, so many new beginnings. But it takes courage. It takes so much courage to make a change. But trusting in yourself and your instincts can lead to so many beautiful outcomes and substantial reward. I do want to be clear, though, that pivots and changes don't just mean you leave a bad situation or you elevate in your career and boom, all is well again. Like, no, that's not the reality. Changes and shifts in life are often followed by or happen simultaneously while you're purging old versions of yourself. Change of direction can mean having to release old parts of you that are no longer in alignment with the person that you're becoming. And this is okay too. But I will say it can be particularly difficult when it comes to career changes for a lot of people. Maybe you're just one of those people who've spent years climbing the ladder in a certain industry, and then you realize like it's no longer fulfilling for you. It can be very, very tempting in those moments to want to hold on to the security and the familiar aspects of your current identity or your past identity. But sometimes, like, letting go is necessary for growth to take place. I hear similar things a lot when I am watching design shows. Y'all know I love my design shows. And one of my favorite shows for quite a while has been this show called Point of View, a designer profile. You can watch this show on HBO Max or Discovery Plus through Magnolia Network, the network which was founded by Chip and Joanna Gaines. And y'all know I love me some Joanna Gaines. But most of the designers on this show are actively working in the interior design field, and most of them decided to answer this calling on their life during a time that they were doing something completely unrelated to the design industry. Can you imagine how scary that is to go from the stability of a career like being a doctor or a lawyer and deciding randomly after years of schooling and maybe starting your own practice that you're going to walk away from it all and do something that is more fulfilling? It can sound crazy, but from personal experience, a lot of my pivots in life consisted of me walking away from things that I had said yes to because they were things that people wanted for me. I spent a lot of my life answering the callings other people had over my life and not responding to life intentionally. The point is here, through all of that, is to allow yourself the space and the time to mourn the loss of your own identity. It is hard, for sure. But while you're mourning, you have to not let it hold you back from embracing or going after new opportunities. Always keep in mind, too, that your identity should not be and absolutely is not attached to what you do or a singular industry, but rather to your unique abilities, your unique set of skills, values, and the experience that make you who you are. Pivoting in life and career requires a willingness. This willingness to take risk and step into the unknown. An unknown that, while fearful, can lead to immense growth and fulfillment. By trusting your instincts and being open to change, you can navigate these transitions with so much confidence, intentionality, and clarity. So, how do you know when it's time to pivot? I am one of those people who believe that we are all born with an innate ability to foresee things or the ability to sense certain outcomes before they occur. While we have this ability, many of us have not yet tapped into this power, but it's there. Our intuition is such a powerful tool that we often ignore when it comes to strategic decision making. We often let practicality override what we feel when we should absolutely always be betting on our intuition when it comes to recognizing the signs that tell us it's time for a pivot. If you have a nagging feeling that something isn't right, or you no longer feel fulfilled in a situation, or like your needs aren't being met, you should absolutely not turn a blind eye to these feelings because they're nagging at you for a reason. Our intuition is usually so spot on, and it's always trying to guide us toward what we truly need. One of the other ways to know, aside from your intuition, when it's time to pivot is when you stop feeling empowered in certain situations or environments. If you feel like you're no longer growing or learning in your current position, if you dread going to work every day, if you're just unhappy in certain moments, in certain environments, it may be time to move on. When we stop feeling inspired or motivated by our work or our environments, it's a clear indication that we need to pivot or do something different, something that's a little bit more fulfilling. My favorite telltale sign that it is time for a pivot is if you find that you're constantly complaining, like that just not being able to stand something so much that you're always talking about it, but you're talking about it in a negative way. If your current situation is causing you way more stress than it is joy, it's not sustainable for you long term. Trust your intuition and start exploring new opportunities. Remember that choosing to pivot or choosing a change in direction is not failure. It's actually an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity for self-discovery, to learn something new about yourself. By listening to your intuition and recognizing the signs, like, you can make all the necessary changes that you need to curate and create a more fulfilling, well-lived life. I know it's all easier said or easier to hear than it is to do. I know that. I've been there. But it is you learning to trust yourself and your intuition that gets you to where you want to be in life. Another for sure way for me that I could always tell that it was time for a shift in life was I would start asking questions. The thing is, it was never me asking questions to myself. I was always going to others and asking questions. And would always be like, what do you think about this? Should I do this? Should I do that? It was almost like I was in need of validation or approval from others to do what I already knew I needed to do or what needed to be done. Trusting your instincts can absolutely be challenging, yet it is also an essential part of navigating a pivot. My favorite thing to always tell myself, my clients, and my mentees is channel your heart space. What does your heart want? Never mind what seems practical in these moments or what seems like a more realistic approach to change. What is going to fulfill your heart long term? I've addressed societal pressures and conformity in previous episodes, but to touch on it again for a moment, being realistic, it is very, very easy to attach yourself to societal standards and what is deemed as acceptable, or to attach yourself to other people's expectations of you. But true fulfillment comes from listening to your own desires, your own wants, your own needs, and going after the feelings that live within you. You just have to trust that your heart knows what's best and have the courage to follow its guidance, even if it means veering off the path that for years society has told you is the only option for you to take. Just go. You always have to learn to trust your intuition, but in trusting your intuition, it also comes with trusting yourself. I feel like self-trust and being confident in yourself is always like top tier. It's at the top of the list in whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you're thinking about doing. When I do personal and professional mentor work, we work from the inside out, meaning I don't advise on how to advance in your career or your personal life without guiding those that I'm working with on the best practices to take care of themselves internally. How you feel within is a direct reflection of your external reality. And your self-trust and your confidence is very much rooted in all of those things. A lot of your success will be rooted in your ability to practice self-trust. It will be rooted in your confidence, how you show up into a space, how you show up into a room. Your confidence is very much all about how you feel powerful enough to go after your goals and chase things that you never deemed possible. Believe in yourself and your power to navigate and execute a pivot. Like, trust that you have the resilience and the adaptability to handle whatever challenges may come your way. Have confidence in your decision-making abilities too, and believe that you're making the right decisions for yourself. Have so much confidence in those decision makings that you don't have to, seek out other people or need to be validated by other people. Overall, like, trusting in your instincts, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of practice, but the more you listen to your inner voice and act on what you're hearing, the stronger your trust in yourself will become. The work and the practice that you do to trust yourself more will also be the results that positively impacts and trickles down into other areas or other aspects of your life, and it'll benefit you so much. But I mean, let's just be for real. Like, it is so much work to trust your inner voice. Like, I don't think we all know like the work that it takes. Like, do you really know? It takes so much to trust your inner knowing and actually follow through with what your gut is telling you. It takes a hell of a lot of commitment, confidence, and self-trust to follow through with the things that you're feeling, and not even seek validation about it. It also requires a strong willingness to listen to your inner voice, even when logic and fear try to convince you that what you're feeling, what you're experiencing is crazy or something you shouldn't even think about pursuing, or it's out of your league. Think about all the times your inner voice told you to get up and outline that business plan, or to make a move, or even to stop calling and texting that person you're not supposed to be calling and texting. But you went against that knowing, and it didn't serve you well in the long run, did it? To trust your instincts, start by really tuning into your heart space. Sit in stillness. Pay attention to what comes up for you. Take time to reflect on what truly excites you, what ignites your soul on fire, what energizes you. Remember that your instincts are often rooted in your deepest desires and passions. So when making decisions, trust that your instincts will always guide you toward a path that aligns with your authentic self. One of my favorite platforms right now is the Honey Hotline. Shout out to my girl Amber. But Amber goes by the name of Amber the Conduit on all of her social channels. And Amber started this platform called the Honey Hotline, where she gives subscribers hundreds of dollars worth of content that consists of tarot forecasting, psychic readings, and cosmic downloads. Like, it's a wealth of information. It's literally only $17 a month. It's amazing. And I love this platform because it is such a healthy combination of self-care, astrology, healing, love, beauty, and money. But I felt like one of the messages that she poured into the Honey Hotline within the last week is in full alignment with what I'm speaking about today, because Amber spoke about a few things: trusting your gut, trusting when you're feeling when something isn't right, but also following your instincts if at any point you feel a nudge to start working toward launching a new project or a new business plan. And one of the things that keeps sitting with me is like the work that you do within the next 3 months is really setting the foundation for the future and the things that you desire right now. And if you've had a plan, if you felt that nudge, it's time to start right now. I just felt like her message was so spot on and was like perfect timing. Amber is she's a wealth of just beauty, love, and knowledge, and she is always dropping gems. So, shamelessly plugging her platform, the Honey Hotline. You can join the Honey Hotline by texting 877-636-2461. Again, that's 877-636-2461. And text that number to become a honey and join the Honey Hotline. You will not regret it. But I said all of that to say you will receive signs and downloads and confirmations in all forms. It'll come and hit you in waves, in many different ways and different forms of communication. They're coming, they're there. You've seen it, you've heard it, you're experiencing it. This is probably another form of a confirmation right now as you're listening. But a lot of the times you're not able to decipher what is truly for you until you really learn to trust your inner knowing. And you learn to trust, like, oh, okay, that's it. Now I hear it, I see it, it's time to make a move. Here's something that I want you to be very clear about when moving into new phases of your life. Listen up. If it didn't serve you then, if it caused you any type of stress or wore you down before, it will likely be a repetitive cycle the second, the third, or the 15th time around. So be open to cutting the dead weight. Listen, one of the most important aspects, but also one of the hardest, and I can say this has been very hard for me and a lot of people that I know, is trusting our instincts when it's time to pivot and applying your learnings from the past to the present. Like sometimes I don't know what it is, but we just love to give people, places, and situations the benefit of the doubt. We want them to prove us wrong, and yet they still always prove us right. They always make us or remind us why we made the decisions that we made in the first place. But it's okay because we all make mistakes. Mistakes are a natural part of our human experience in this realm. However, when you have new opportunities presented to you and you choose to involve yourself in the same destructive patterns, habits, or situations repeatedly, that is self-neglect. Your past experiences are and should be a gateway to guide you on how to navigate through the present, and they will be if you allow them to, but you have to allow it. Take the time to reflect on your previous choices and decisions. Always think about what worked well. What are the things that didn't go as planned? By analyzing the past, you can gain insight into new patterns or behaviors, or old patterns or behaviors that may have led to unsatisfactory outcomes. And you can choose a different outcome the second time around. The self-reflection throughout this process is also something that allows you to identify what needs to change within you in order for the pivot to take place or for the pivot to be successful. But let's be honest though, like learning from your past mistakes also involves you learning to accept and take full accountability for your actions. A lot of the times it's not always others. It's you taking up accountability for the things that you've done or may have not done, or taking accountability for the things that you've subjected yourself to. You have to recognize where your actions may have been the result of things not working out the way that you hoped. You have to be honest and take responsibility for any missteps. When you do this creates a mindset shift, and it's a mindset shift that empowers you to take full control over your life and make proactive decisions moving forward. What you did or did not do in the past is nothing to be ashamed of. Everything that you experience and go through serves its purpose, and it could be a guide for growth and transformation in the future. You just have to embrace the lessons, and learn from your mistakes and use them to fuel your journey towards a successful pivot. Let's talk a little bit about guidance and support when you're considering a big life transition. I fully encourage you to connect with others who have experienced similar pivots. Learn from their experiences, learn what they've done or the things that they didn't do. A lot of the times when listening to other people's insights and their advice can really help you gain a fresh perspective and avoid potential pitfalls. One thing I do want you to be clear about, though, is always hold your vision and your plans close to you. Hold them close for as long as you can. There are so many ways to seek guidance and advice from others without oversharing your ideas. You don't want to put yourself in a space where you get so distracted with talking about your plans that you forget to execute them. It's also to be mindful of who you talk to. I have found that the best people to get advice from or to bounce ideas off of are the people that I've actually seen execute and do the work, or done the very thing that I'm looking to accomplish, or doing something or have done something similar to what I'm looking to do. When it comes to pivoting and making a big personal or professional change, advice and guidance can be such a valuable tool in helping you navigate your decisions. But just as important as all those valuable tools in life, guidance, and lessons, it's choosing the right person or people to rely on for advice. Look for people or someone who is trustworthy, someone who is honest, and someone who has your best interests at heart. Too many times we hear stories about how others have trusted the wrong people with their vision or sharing ideas thinking they're going to get advice, thinking that these people want the best for them and want to help them. But the very people that they trust in and expect to receive from, take their ideas and run. So be smart about who you confide in. The person that you look to can be a mentor, a coach, or a friend. Just keep in mind that there are ways to be open and honest about your situation, what you're considering, without fully revealing everything. Listen to their advice and perspective, but don't put all of your trust in what others say. Ultimately, the best decision that you can make is the decision that feels most in alignment with you. Even coming from me, even any advice from me, I may be able to give you advice that gets you started, but the execution on your journey is entirely up to you. Don't neglect the fact that your path is unique. So what works for someone else, what works for me, may not be exactly what works for you. And this is okay. But it doesn't mean that you can't take the advice, and that the advice won't be of some benefit throughout your journey. Also, be mindful of the feedback you receive too. Take the constructive criticism with stride and use it as a tool for growth. Don't let the negative comments or any unsolicited advice make you question where you're headed, or don't allow it to steer you off course. When seeking advice and guidance, remember that your decision rests with you and only you. You can use the input and tools from other people to your advantage, but don't let their feedback be the determining factor for how you move forward. Or don't let it determine the fact that you don't move forward. Trust your instincts and make the decision that feels right for you in your situation. At the end of the day, whatever the decision is, whether it's a decision to end a friendship or relationship, change careers, launch a new business, or revive an old one, there is so much unknown throughout the process. Once you come into agreement with yourself that it's time to pivot, it's natural for you to feel a bit lost and unsure of what comes next. I want to empower you to trust and embrace the unknown because it can be such a powerful experience and serve you well in the long run when you embrace what you're unsure of. Letting go and trusting the process creates space for you to explore new opportunities and experiences that you may never have considered before. Rather than seeing the unknown as a source of anxiety, try reframing that mindset and see it as a chance to grow. See it as a chance to learn. Stay open to new ideas and new possibilities, and just be willing to take calculated risk. I believe I previously shared the story about how Divine Oasis was born, so I won't go into full detail here, but I will say that this brand was born during a forced pivot. It was during a time when I had no choice but to pivot, and throughout the entire process, I felt like I had failed. I had no idea what the outcome was on the other side. I was afraid, but I pushed forward. Even throughout all the work, me not even ever being able to foresee what was on the other side, I just kept going, even through the fear. And so at some point, you have to trust that the unknown is simply that. It's unknown. And while embracing it can bring on anxiety and fear, on the other side of that unknown can be something that is so thrilling and rewarding. My advice to you is to just relinquish control of the outcome. I was actually just talking about this with my hairstylist the other day. We were expressing how letting go and allowing others to help you when you've built a business from the ground up and you've put all your blood, sweat, and tears into this thing that you love. And it can be so difficult to allow others to come in and help you, but your need for control often does more harm than good. One way to embrace the unknown is to just focus on the things that you can control. Create a plan for your next steps. What project management tools can you invest in to help you execute your plan? Set realistic and achievable goals. Start working toward your goals and action items one by one. Don't try to do everything all at once. It's just going to confuse you. By taking small steps toward your new direction, you gain momentum over time. And over time, this will help you to build your confidence. It can also support you in feeling more in control of the process, even when things still feel uncertain. If you know me personally, you've heard me say this or maybe even see me tweet this, but delusion is my jam. I am the queen of delusion. I'm what most people consider a free spirit. I am just always in a dreamlike state, and I believe what most people deem to be impossible is very much achievable. If I can speak about it, I can breathe life into it, and I can manifest it. My answer to embracing the unknown has been to approach it with delusion and curiosity. I dive in headfirst with everything, and I always expect to land on my feet. But I do always have a plan should I not land on my feet, which I won't. But it's always good to just take precaution. But I know I will always land on my feet. Be curious. Seek out new information and perspective. Ask questions. Stay open to new opportunities. I've encouraged my current mentee to study courses on masterclass that align with her career goals, things that she wants to do, things that she wants to learn. And we've talked about ways that I can support her and the things that she needs from me to remain in a space of curiosity and constant learning. I want her and I want all of you to see your pivot or the next phase of your journey as an adventure rather than something that's scary and daunting or this overbearing challenge. Stay patient, remain faithful, and trust the process. Pivoting takes time, and it's unlikely that everything will fall into place overnight. I'm telling you this, but also telling myself this. While I remind myself these things daily, I also want to tell you that there will always be setbacks and obstacles. But if you remain committed and stay focused on your goals, you will ultimately find your way. Embracing the unknown is such a critical part of successfully pivoting, both personally and professionally. By staying open-minded and focusing on what you can control and trusting the process, you can turn your pivot into an exciting and fulfilling new chapter in your life. I hope that this episode inspires you to take a more calm and practical approach to growth and actualizing a better reality for yourself, because you absolutely deserve it.